And I don't feel like it's something that is super talked about very often. In fact, I feel like the opposite is often what is preached and shoved down people's throats. But I actually think this technique that I'm going to talk about can be way more effective and bring way more joy. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So surprise, what's up? Today I am here to chat with you guys, and I'm kind of considering this a tea talk because I just kind of want to talk with you and hang out. Now I have to just I wish I could be more formatted with my videos, but I'm legitimately such a free spirit and unfocused human in a lot of ways that I feel like I have to just share what is genuinely on my mind when I jump into these chatty videos to feel that connection and to feel like I can communicate with you authentically. So at the top of the video, I just want to say something that I have said to you guys so many times when I've done these chatty videos on my channel, and that is that I get nervous. And that might be hard to believe because if you have been watching my videos for a long time, you know that I am a verbal processor. I love consuming information. I feel like I'm a consuming machine, like audiobooks and different YouTube channels and just all kinds of things. But I also like sharing and I like talking. But something that has happened to me over the years that I have shared with you guys before is I felt myself kind of shut down a little bit in terms of wanting to talk and share and process things. And that's for a bunch of different reasons. I think you guys have figured this out if you watch a lot of YouTubers, that being a YouTuber can kind of be a trip, because when you start to get a lot of quote unquote hate or even just a diversity of opinion, it becomes hard sometimes to actually, at least for me, for me to actually state a perspective or an opinion, because almost as the words are coming out of my mouth, I am hearing feedback from what I deem other perspectives are going to be or what haters are going to say. And I think there's this perspective often, and maybe this is true for some people, that people who put themselves out there are just super confident all the time and really full of themselves, maybe, if that's the right wording. But for me, that's not true at this point, especially for me to talk. It takes a lot of pep talking, and I keep saying the word talking, but Dan and I have been talking a lot. You guys also know this, that Dan is a big encourager of me sharing, because he knows how important words are to me. That sounds kind of strange, but it's true. Like I said, I listen to a lot of content. I'm really into history and philosophy and self-development and growth, and I read a lot of business books growing up and talk radio and all of that. So I'm very fascinated by the sharing of thoughts and the exchange of information. So I like doing this from time to time, but sometimes I go a little MIA because in terms of these videos, because I'll feel I don't need to run my mouth. I sound like I'm just trying to be a know-it-all, or what do I even know? Why am I talking? Or no, you know what? I don't need to run my mouth. I can just live my life. I can show people my perspectives and opinions through my actions, through the decisions that I make in my daily life. And you guys know that I've been loving making the day in my life videos. And I like making the day in my life videos for a lot of reasons, especially now being here in Nashville. Those videos have really given me a lot of my control back, and my artistic, decisions are back in my hands because I'm actually filming. I feel like in previous years, I had fallen into this other mode of other people being the ones to always film for me. And I think I had forgotten how much I truly love to capture and film things. And it also helps to keep me in the headspace of, honestly, one of my favorite things about my personality and a gift from God, which is my ability to see beauty in everyday life. And being the filmer, being the camera person now for those videos, it keeps that alive in me. I'm constantly seeing beauty and I want to capture it. So there's a lot of reasons I like making those videos. But then also, like I said, I'll talk myself out of doing talking videos because I'm no, I don't. People don't need to hear me blather. I don't need to be more blabber. I don't need to be another voice in everybody's I have an opinion and a voice, hear me. Like, I don't need to be doing that. But then I just can't quite get away from how much I just want to share. And just to let you guys know, I actually am debating right now starting a Patreon. So I'm curious if that's something that you guys would be interested in, because you guys know, or if you don't know now, you know that one of the major ways that I make a living is through brand sponsorships on YouTube. There's a lot of different ways, and I've actually been thinking about making a video about how my business is structured, because I know in the past I've thankfully been able to help quite a few people figure out how they could make this a job, but the structure of my business has changed a lot over the last 2 years. But still, a large chunk of my income comes from working with brands, and I appreciate that income. And oftentimes I love that. Those partnerships can not only be lucrative, but it can pull you out of your regular box, because brands will have specific requests, so it'll require you to kind of think creatively. But there can be downsides to that, because sometimes there are things that I don't want to say, or stuff I don't want to show or want to do, because I'm worried that it can affect my brand partnerships. And part of me feels like, whatever, that's life. Everybody has to consider something, right? Their job. We can't just all let it all hang out on the internet, and that's not really my desire. But at the same time, there is something that is very intriguing to me about being viewer funded and creating another community. It's the same community, but tightening that community up a little bit too. So I'm considering doing that and setting the donation really low at $1 a month. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. So now that I've done the longest, most elaborate intro in the whole world, I'm going to try to focus, although you guys know, for me, focus is hard. But I wanted to talk about something today that has been on my mind a lot lately. A lot of things have been on my mind a lot lately, but this is just one of the things, because of the types of comments that I've been getting, especially in my day in my life videos. And so what I want to talk about is productivity and how to get things done, how I get things done. Really, this is going to be hard for me to focus, because it's hard for me to fully know where to begin, because I have legitimately had a major lifestyle shift over the last year and a half. My view on femininity and women's natural strengths and their inclination towards certain roles in the world, and how you can affect change in the world, a lot of that has shifted. And that is stuff that, if I can get the guts and you guys want to hear, I can continue to talk more about that. But one thing that I was implementing, even in, we're going to call it my previous life in LA, but it's not just about being in LA, it's the way that my schedule and my life was set up when I lived in LA. And I implemented it there, and I still implement it in my life now, even though I would consider my life to be way more chill. I still would consider my life to be very productive. Now it is much more clothed in peace, and there are a lot of reasons for that, like I mentioned. But this basic concept is something that has helped me for years since I first learned about it. And I don't feel like it's something that is super talked about very often. In fact, I feel like the opposite is often what is preached and shoved down people's throats. And I think both ways can work, but I actually think this technique that I'm going to talk about can be way more effective and bring way more joy for certain personality types. Myself being, just to give you a little insight, a 7 on the Enneagram and an ENFP in Myers-Briggs, so myself included. And it might be called other things, but because of the book I discovered it through, I'm going to call it this. It is called the Slight Edge Technique. And I read this book years ago. I only read it once because I felt like I got a lot of what I wanted and needed to get out of it. But the gist of this concept, how do I word this? So when you hear people talk about things they want to get done, often people will talk about focus. If I had $1 for every time someone told me to focus, I'd be really rich. And honestly, side note, let me just stop this. They might be right. This is kind of just me presenting another perspective and giving you insight into what I do, because I do get so many questions about my productivity and how I fit all these things in a day. And I also realize, because like I said, you get this habit of like thinking about what the haters are going to say. And I feel like some people might look at my life and be like, you literally do nothing. Like, what are you talking about? And in some ways I would agree with them. And in a lot of ways, most ways, that has been purposefully constructed. The way that my life is right now has been purposefully constructed, and is also a blessing that is, I realize, in so many ways out of my control, if not really always. But we've purposefully constructed a slower life. Also, keep in mind, obviously, what you see on my day and my life is not everything. It's just when I think to pick up a camera, if I remember, if I think it's interesting, all of that. So all of those little disclaimer and excuses, we're going to circle back to. People often tell you to focus. If you want to learn a new skill, if you want to try a new hobby, only take 3 things on your plate at a time. Only focus on those things. And I see the validity in that. I see why that would work. I see why that could be important. But the concept of the slight edge is kind of based on, like they compared it to compounding interest, that really you could choose to do many different things if you choose consistency, but in small bites. So to those of you that have been following, for example, my piano journey, piano is a great example for me. Gardening is a great example for me. I feel like I have a lot of things in my life where this has become a thing. But piano, when I started playing, because I wasn't desperate to learn overnight, and that's really the thing. Obviously, it depends on how desperate you are, or how time sensitive something is to you. But when I started learning piano, I was like, you know what? This is overwhelming. I really want to learn, but I don't need to be like a pro at piano. Well, really ever. But I really don't need to be a pro piano like tomorrow. What would happen, and this is what the slight edge is, if I just did a little bit every day, or just consistently till I was 40. Like, I'm bound to be better by the time I'm 40, right? And that right there is the slight edge concept. This principle believes or states that if you just do something consistently, even in small little increments, that eventually, as time goes on, you will get better and better and better at that thing. Just because of the fact that you continued to show up. And it didn't have to be hours a day. It doesn't even have to be 15 minutes a day. It could be 5 minutes a day, or 5 minutes every other day. I don't stress it that much. Just when I've chosen something to enter my world, my slight edge world, I try to make sure to circle back to that thing regularly. Sometimes that's daily during certain periods. Sometimes it's multiple times a day. There are times where I go without playing piano 3 to 4 days. My brain doesn't like it because I grew up a dancer, and thank God that music has started to replace that feeling and that hole that was really left when I stopped dancing. So I mentally and emotionally, whether I know it or not, do not like it when I'm away from playing music and singing for that long. But sometimes you just get in weird grooves, or you get busy, or other things pull your attention. But I don't go very long. And sometimes, like today, I've been on my piano. It's only like 3 o'clock. And I've been on my piano and played music 3 separate times already today. So it just kind of depends on the flow of my day. But the bottom line for me is consistency. And for a long time, I thought that consistency, and this works for some people, had to be a specific set of time at a specific time, or like whatever. Even with my videos is a good example. Oh, I'm going to be consistent Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe my channel would be more successful number-wise if I stuck to that. But to me, I'm like, you know what? I'm blessed enough to where I still have this community. I'm still making an income. And I think that is because of the consistency of me just not leaving, me not stopping. And things kind of go in seasons, and they ebb and they flow. And so for me, consistency really just means like not quitting, continuing to show up. And with the concept of the slight edge, they really believe, my mom for a while, I think she's still doing this. She has like a slight edge list, and it's tons of tiny little things of like 2-minute stretches, drink this water, do that, just things in her life that feel like a priority that she wants to improve on, that she wants to grow in and get better and cultivate. And so what she'll do, rather than being like, oh, I don't have enough time, these are the things I'm focused on, is she applies that slight edge concept and she pursues them all in small ways. And in that way, she's able to grow holistically, I guess you could say, grow in a lot of areas together and consistently. And eventually, just like compound interest, things add up and they catch up. At least that is the slight edge theory. It's very interesting to me because, like I mentioned, I think that it makes a lot of sense and it's helped me a lot in my life. Keep in mind, this is coming from someone who's like an expert at nothing, but like I said, I get questions from you guys. And that is really the way I approach things. I try not to take off huge bites. I'm trying to just make small progress in areas that I want to grow and cultivate. But it's so interesting to me that this concept is not talked about more, because I really think that if there's something you want to try, you want to, like I said, nurture, grow, cultivate. Applying this principle is a really great way to do that, kind of changing your thought process from like this all or nothing, which is kind of something I touched on a little bit in my last grocery haul when I was talking about my plastic bag use. That if you can adjust this mindset from all or nothing, if you're not doing it perfect, you're not doing it at all, but just continuing to make these baby steps forward, in the long run, I think that you can achieve and grow yourself in a lot of different areas that you're interested in. And not to mention, like I said, if you're like a 7 or an ENFP or just someone like me, it's actually a lot more fun. It's a lot more satisfying. I like watering all of my little gardens. No puns intended. I'm not really referring to my garden, but I kind of am. I like taking care of lots of different areas because it's very exciting for me. It's very fulfilling, and I don't put pressure on myself. Like when I play piano, I'm done when I'm done. Like if I'm playing and I'm in the mood to play for like a half hour, I just play. If I play like 2 songs, then I'm over it. I'm always like, it's a joke like between me and Dan, because he, we share an office and sometimes he'll be behind me on the computer or the simulator, and then I'm just, all of a sudden I'm just done and I'm like, done, like, and I'll just like walk away. And I just don't put that pressure on myself. And that is something that I realize is very, very backwards, but that's also been a big transition in my life. Like I said, I'm not going to go off on that rant, but the easing of pressure on myself, the act of taking the pressure off of myself, has actually caused me to be more productive in a way that I deem more valuable, in a way that gives me more peace. I'm not lounging, just eating bonbons all the time. I'm doing stuff with my life, but I'm choosing what brings me joy, what is valuable to me, what I want to invest in, and I've got the pressure off. And it's weird how certain personalities, the pressure, especially over a long period of time, can cause you to kind of retreat and not be as productive. I was watching some news thing the other day and they were talking about that, how millennial burnout is a thing, that people will take weeks to mail a letter. It's just this small task, but it's like, oh, it's like so hard trying to get the energy to do it. And it's very common. A lot of people feel this burnout. And I honestly think that an element in that might be the amount of pressure that we place on ourselves to be these high performing machines. And so even though, if you're like me, listening to your emotions and being like lazy like that is the opposite of what you were raised to do or believe is the right thing to do, and I do understand the validity of that thought, and there is a time and a place for that, and it's a good principle in general. On the flip side, I think sometimes people that are dealing with burnout, that can sometimes be it. This pressure that they're putting on themselves, this box that they're trying to force themselves into, especially sometimes, I think for women, especially because I think there are certain things that are sold to women in society that they have to be. And so if they don't feel like they're meeting that and they're giving their all, it can feel exhausting. And so that's really the other thing I like about the slight edge principle, is it's the opposite of pressure. I can't think of that word. I don't know. It's chill. I like that. I like that it's a chill way to get better at something. It allows me to nurture a lot of different areas in my life. And it also allows me to take the bigger picture and realize that just because I didn't do a half hour of Bible study or a half hour of cleaning or whatever, literally could be anything, it doesn't mean it's not positive, because your life, it's a lot of moments. Your education, it's a lot of moments. It's things that build on top of itself. So investing a little bit of time into things consistently, in my opinion, really does make a difference in the long run, especially for those things, like I mentioned, that aren't time sensitive. Like, I don't need to be an amazing piano player tomorrow. Like, who cares? I can just choose to continue forward and to keep going at my own pace. I'm repeating myself. I'm talking in circles. And honestly, I could go down a whole other path of thoughts. Like, I really definitely want to do a video. That was a lot of, I really definitely want to do a video, if you guys are interested, like I said, on a lot of the thoughts that I've been having around just women and where we find our joy, and on traditionalism, and just a lot of those kinds of things. And I will definitely keep you guys posted if I do end up starting a Patreon account. I'm pretty sure if I do, though, they're going to be these kinds of videos, just chatty, heart-to-heart kind of topics, but we will see. I will keep you posted. So if you made it this far, if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It not only lets me know, like, oh, people really do like these videos, but it also helps to support my channel, and it helps to grow our community. And I really appreciate it. And also, don't forget to check out my info box, because I'm doing a giveaway in this video as well. In most of my videos now, because I've said this, I get so many more products than I could ever use. I donate a lot of products, but also I like to give them back to you guys as a way to say thank you for your support, because by you thumbsing up my videos, watching my videos, obviously, commenting on my videos, that is you literally giving support to my YouTube channel. And so this is just a way for me to say thank you. So check my info box, and all the information and rules will be down there. And I will hopefully see you guys back here soon with another new video. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, guys.